So in this video we're going to do the final part of the homework, just a couple of them. Numbers 13 through 17 all require a factoring method that you need the formula sum or difference of two cubes formula. So we're going to focus in on a cubed plus b cubed, all right? And we're going to that would be the sum of two cubes formula. Let me give you a method of how to remember the formula yourself. So you're going to put equals, and it's going to be always a binomial times a trinomial, okay? So what belongs in here? Exactly what you see right here without the exponents, okay? So you are going to put an a plus b, okay? And what belongs over here in this trinomial? Well, you have to memorize this part right here. It's a squared, and then in the middle you're going to have an ab, and the last one will be a b squared, okay? Now the middle term of the trinomial, this guy, it needs a sign in front of it, either a plus or minus. Now in this case, because it is a plus, this first one was a plus, which means that this middle one is going to be a minus, okay? And what about the b squared? It's always going to be a plus, okay? How do you remember that? Well, you could think of it this way. B squared, anything squared is always going to be positive. Just a little trick to remember that. So once again, it's a binomial times a trinomial. The first binomial is exactly what you see here without the exponents. These guys, don't write them. It's just a plus b. And it's always going to be a squared. And of course it's positive because anything squared is positive. In the middle you're going to have ab. And the last one's going to be b squared. And this middle ab, it has to be a minus. Why does it have to be a minus? Because this one's a plus, which means that this middle one's going to be the opposite, which is a minus. So with that same rationale, if you had the difference of two cubes formula, a cubed minus b cubed, well, you'd have a binomial times a trinomial, and the binomial will be exactly what you see here without the exponents. So that will be a minus b, and over here again you have a squared, again you have ab, and again you have b squared. And again you need signs. Well, this first one was a minus because the original was a minus. So if the first one was a minus, then this guy right here has to be the opposite, which is plus. And of course the b squared is always plus. And that's how you create the formulas. And I guess I shouldn't say create the formulas. We're not creating them, we're just memorizing them. But that's the way to memorize them. Let's go back to the homework. Let's take a look at, for example, number 13. Why not? 13. Our formula is going to be the difference of two cubes on this one. And once again, we need it to look like this. We need it to look like a cubed minus b cubed. Okay? And then, of course, you could write your formula. A minus b, then parentheses, a squared with the ab with the b squared. And of course, if the first binomial was a minus, you're going to have a plus on the ab, and always a plus on anything squared on the formulas. Anyway, the thing is this. Does this look like this? No, it doesn't. If I asked you, what is the a value? You can't say 64. You can't say 64x. What you need to do is rewrite it as parentheses cubed and think what belongs right in here. Whatever belongs right in here, that's going to be your a value. So let's say you did say 64x. If you plug in a 64x right there, 64 cubed is going to be a huge number. That doesn't work. So what you need to do is think of what number belongs in there that if you cube it will give you a 64x cubed. Or you could also think of taking the cube root of 64x cubed. Anyway, 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. What I'm trying to get at here is what number to the third, or what value to the third power gives you 64x to the third? That will be 4x. Because 4x times 4x times 4x is 64x to the third. And if we continue on, you don't want it to just be a b cubed. You want to identify b by having parentheses right there. So whatever belongs in here, that'll be your b value, okay? So let's think about this. What number belongs in here that if you cube it gives you a negative 27y to the third? Well, what number cubed gives you 27? That would be 3. And what value cubed gives you y cubed? Well, that'd be a y. So that'd be a 3y. And that, the 3y, is your b value. So doing this is actually not really part of your answer, but is absolutely necessary to identify your a value and your b value. And now that you know your a and your b, you could plug it in right here, here, and all in the whole formula. So let me do that. Let me write down a binomial times a trinomial. Okay, the binomial is going to be a minus b. So what's going to be in there? Instead of a, we already know a is 4x, and b is 3y. So we're going to put a minus sign right between them. You see how right here it says a minus b? That's what I wrote, a minus b. Now let's move on to the trinomial. That's slightly a little bit more challenging because you have a squared. Now, to not make a mistake, I highly recommend that you do this, a squared. And what belongs in the a spot, we just said it was 4x. Okay, so it's really going to be a 4x squared. And then plus a times b, and then plus b squared. Sorry, it's getting ugly. You see. Oh well. So let's plug in the a and the b, which is going to be a 4x and a minus 3. Let me zoom in. I said minus 3, I'm sorry. That's supposed to be a 3y for the b. And of course, we're also going to plug it in on the last spot. And working on that trinomial, well, what is 14x? What is 4x to the second power? 4x to the second power is 16x squared. And what is 4x times 3y? That's going to be 12 and just xy. And last but not least, 3y to the second power, that's 3y times 3y. That's going to be a 9y squared. And there's your trinomial. And let's not forget about the binomial that's out here. And ladies and gentlemen, this is completely factored with the difference of 2 cubes formula. I know, you're thinking, man, this is fun. Let's try one more. How about number 15? That one looks pretty crazy. Well, what should you always start out with? You should always start out by trying to pull out the GCF, whatever's in common, pull it out, see if it makes it a little easier. So on number 15, I could pull out a 5, and I could also pull out an x. If I pull out a 5x, what am I going to have left? 5 times 8 is 40. And if I pull out one of those x's, I'm still going to have 3 left inside the parenthesis. And then, if we pull out a 5x from here, well, the 5x is no longer going to be there. It's just going to be a y to the 9th. So I'm going to put plus y to the 9th. Okay? And now what could we do? Well, now let's look at the inside of the parenthesis. And is there anything else that we could do? Well, we can't pull out anything that's in common. Is it a sum of 2 cubes formula? Yes, it is, where you could apply it. Why? Because this first term is a perfect cube term. So in other words, I could say 8x to the third is really 2x in parentheses to the third power. Now how about y to the 9th? Let's think about that one. That'll be a little interesting to think about, because what value in there to the third power will give you y to the 9th? Well, that'll be y to the third, because a power to a power, you multiply it. 3 times 3 is 9. So by doing this, I have set up and I have identified my a value and my b value. My a value is 2x, my b value is y to the third. So let me jump right in to the difference of 2 cubes, or the sum of 2 cubes formula. Right? And the sum of 2 cubes formula is a binomial times a trinomial. Move this over a little. So what is the binomial going to be? It's going to be the same exact thing we see out here, but without the exponents of 3 on the outside. So we're actually going to have a 2x plus y to the third, right? And in the trinomial, I'm going to have a squared. So what I'm going to do is put a squared, and then it's going to be a minus a times b, and then the plus b squared. Okay? So again, a is 2x, a is 2x, b is y to the third, b is y to the third. That's an ugly 3, I apologize. And now let's work on the trinomial. Okay? So once again, this part right here that we did, that we took like the cube root of this and got that, took the cube root of that and got that, that is just to identify a and b. After that, you could just ignore it because it's not going to be part of your answer. And let's work on that trinomial. So the first part of our answer will be the binomial 2x plus y to the third. The trinomial over here is going to be 4x squared, right? If you take that 2 and put it on the 2 and on the x, it's going to be 4x squared. Now the middle term is going to be a minus 2xy to the third. And the final term in the trinomial will be plus y to the 6th, power to a power you multiply. Ladies and gentlemen, we're done. But we're not done. See, I almost made a mistake. This is not the complete answer. If you actually put that answer and you did all that work, put that answer, you only get partial credit. Why? Because it's still missing something. Do you guys remember this outside 5x that we originally factored first? That guy needs to come down right in front. So I need to take this 5x and bring it down over here. Okay? So let me do that, and then our answer will be done. There's a 5x right out in front. So this whole thing is the completely factored form of the original one.